Jesus discusses mustard seeds and faith. The use of the word mustard seed to describe faith is in 3 of the Gospels, not in John. You probably have read the Bible enough to know that John is a separate gospel in a lot of ways, and I will be discussing that in the future. But for today, we do see mustard seeds referred to in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. The 2 uses of the word mustard seed are going to be where he talks about having the faith of a mustard seed and then having material objects respond at the command of a human being. In Matthew 17:20, he talks about moving a mountain with the faith of a mustard seed. In Luke 17:5 and 6, he talks about a mulberry tree being uprooted and cast into the sea. The size of the seed and how it translates into something much bigger, that is a tree, is referred to in Matthew 13:31, Mark 4:30, and Luke 13:18. The size of the seed is a confusing part of the story because he starts out telling the disciples in Matthew 17 and Luke 17 that their faith is small. But then he says, if your faith was as small as a mustard seed. So in other words, he's using the size of the faith and the size of the mustard seed faith in sort of divergent philosophies. One is saying that your faith is too small, but then he's also saying if your faith were small, it would be better. So it's a little confusing, but I think you kind of get the sense that when he refers to their current faith being small, he's referring to the effectiveness or the sincerity of their faith, that it really does not exist as far as being measurable when he talks about that kind of size. When he talks about the size of the mustard seed is related to the faith, he is talking about perfection or the sincerity or the effectiveness or the completeness of their faith. The mustard seed is small. Now, I've seen seeds that are a lot smaller. Poppy seeds, carrot seeds are very small too. There's a lot of seeds that are very, very small. Think about what a seed does. It's a mystery. People don't really know how seeds work. And when you consider that a seed that small is able to be planted and grow, if a seed is only 95% perfect, it will not grow. It can't be imperfect to even that degree. What if a seed were 98% perfect? That's 2% incomplete in any way. You know that 98% on a test of any kind is an A, but an A plus is 100. We also know that for something to work and be that complete, it has to be created, and that takes time. Even for a seed, there's a growing season, and then the seed is a result of a growing season. It doesn't just instantly appear. So consider your own growth and how are you building that faith. The disciples were part of our world. They're really, if you think about eternity, it wasn't that long ago, a couple thousand years. How are we that much different? We want things now. Instant gratification. You pray, you want results, you want that mulberry tree cast into the ocean. Jesus isn't referring to that kind of faith. Jesus also does not refer to the development of faith. So is there a faith given? Yes. So we have that miraculous faith that comes to anybody at any time. We've heard so many stories, and we see that in the Bible where things just happen so miraculously, almost instantly. That is not necessarily for us to depend on. Look at the back end of Matthew 13, Mark 4, and Luke 13, where faith is growing. It's sown upon the soil. We don't see a lot of attention to anything but the fact that it is put on the soil, it's sown, and it grows. There is the miracle of a seed right there, that it can just happen that way. And if you've ever planted seeds, sometimes if you read a seed package, it'll give you those instructions, how to plant the seed. And some of them actually just say that, just throw it and just cover it lightly or whatever. The size of the mustard seed sometimes enables it to almost be planted because it just goes in between grains of soil. We don't know what activates the seed other than sunlight the warmth of the sun and water, things that we think, oh, there's a chemical reaction going on. But not all seeds grow, even under the same exact conditions. And they certainly don't all grow the same way. So don't judge yourself too harshly. The disciples are saying, please help us with our faith. In Luke 17, increase our faith. And we also hear that in the New Testament a couple times, like, Jesus, help us with our faith. We know those things almost instinctively that we need help. The faith of the mustard seed for us is a growth process. As our faith increases, we do feel it grow. As it grows, it becomes something bigger. And in the case of the comparison of the mustard plant to other plants, Jesus refers to it as being bigger than the other bushes, the other herbs. That mustard is an herb. The mustard plant becomes a tree so large and strong, in fact, that birds can nest in it and land in it and use that tree for something that other herbs cannot be used for. So as we're thinking about the mustard seed, think about the perfection of the seed, the fact that the seed is the end result of growth, that you're going to know inherently that you're growing. Don't be afraid of the instant results. Even the growth of the seed in your heart, it comes from something else. That seed would come from somewhere and be planted in your heart. So as you develop the seed into something bigger, remember, it's a cycle. It is an inheritance. It's a thing that you can use and share with others. Not only does the mustard seed become a tree, it produces other seeds along the way. That's where the seeds come from to begin with, other plants. I just want you to be confident in this and not shaken by the accusation. How your faith is so small. And then how can you convert that smallness concept into something different as you realize that the smallness is okay, but it has to be real. It has to be perfect. It has to be developed. It needs God's love and care. The mystery and the miracle of eternity comes through God because He knows how these things work. He created those things. You can benefit from those things to the point that your life will be enhanced. You'll realize that you're coming into eternal life with God and that you have something to share with other people.